Hello, everyone. Welcome to our lightning talk about internet access as a human right in Malaysia. My name is Zach Lampel. I'm Senior Legal Advisor with the International Center for Not-for-Profit Law. And I'm super excited today to be speaking with our partner, Serene Lim, Partner and Director of the CRIS Network in Malaysia. Internet access in Malaysia is difficult, to say the least. Children often have to climb trees just to complete their school assignments. In August of 2021, the Minister of the Ministry of Multimedia and Communications announced that officially internet access and connectivity was a human right. And he said that his ministry would be taking steps so that all Malaysians can realize this aspirational goal of having full access and connectivity to the internet. So Serene, when you heard the minister make this announcement, what did you think and what did you do?
For sure, it was a welcome statement, and we were also a little bit surprised by that bold statement. But I think many of us were cautiously optimistic about the promises. But regardless, right, SCNL approaches and asked if there's anything we can do around this. And what we did was to gather civil society members, research institute, people who had worked with communities, right? The refugee communities, indigenous peoples, children's, to essentially come together to unpack what does it mean when we see internet access as a human right. And these are like some of the discussions that we had during the consultations. And then from that consultations, we put together a policy brief with recommendations to the governments, to civil servants on internet access as a human right. And I think this is where, this is like a new terrain that we are exploring as well, because when you see internet as a human right, it's a much higher standard than just internet as mere public utility. So I think this is a golden opportunity for many of us.
Absolutely. So you heard this announcement, you were super excited, and you brought civil society together to come up with some recommendations to help the government achieve this right and let them know how or how you defined internet access and connectivity. So from this consultation with civil society, did you come up with any new ideas? Can you share any of the cool initiatives that you and your partners may have come up with?
So there's a mix of, ideas that you can just convert existing infrastructures into providing better internet access. One of it is actually to just install fixed broadbands at places that the communities already gather. So this could be morning market, night markets, or local communities halls, right? So people can just easily go there and access internet. And I think the second one is to actually work towards providing subsidies of free fixed broadbands for lower income household. This could be the 20% lowest income household. And I think this is where we need to distinguish, right, about among people who are able to pay versus willing to pay. A lot of communities, a lot of households are willing to pay, but this often comes at a cost for them, right? Like they are willing to pay even though they have to struggle to make ends meet. So to subsidies for this household means a lot to them versus, people who are able to afford internet access. And I think the last one, and this is a much important one, is to also develop better and more suitable indicators for meaningful internet access. Because right now, the way internet access is measured by Malaysian governments, there are two ways. One, it's a simple question, whether you have accessed the internet in the last 3 months. Second is whether you subscribe to whether you have a SIM card or whether you subscribe with broadband. And this really doesn't distinguish the quality of access, right? Like the pictures that we saw earlier, girls who have to climb up the tree just to get connections for education versus a person who can do everything from the comfort of their homes. So these things has to be better identified to to ensure that internet access is a human right to everyone.
That's great. Those are three amazing ideas: community centers and installing free access points where the communities gather, subsidies for lower income individuals, which is a bit like the last mile, but slightly different as well. And then making sure that there are really strong, comprehensive measurements to make sure that indeed this human right is being realized by all Malaysians. So Malaysia is at the forefront of this movement. It's one of the only countries, one of the few countries in the world, and the only country that I know of in Southeast Asia that has announced that internet access is a human right. What tips do you have for our civil society partners around the world so that they too can be where Malaysia is?
We started the work, of talking about internet rights as human rights many years ago, and this photo was taken 7 years ago. It was my first time organizing a workshop where we tried to talk about human rights online. And back then, right, even the ideas to say internet access as a human rights was contentious. A lot of people disagree. They think that internet access is a luxury items and you should prioritize, other types of rights. So things has definitely changed. And I think for us, one strategy that has been particularly effective is storytelling. It's the stories of, of children's struggling to get internet access, children's drop out from schools because they can't afford laptops or tablets, or families have to choose between paying for food or buying data for their SIM card. It's this kind of stories that really move people and people can resonate. And this is how we can start shifting mindset through a bottom-up process, right? And I think the second one is to keep having conversations with everyone, including with human rights groups, about what does it mean internet access as a human right. And I think because this notions is still rather new at this stage, and this provides a lot of space for imaginations for us to to really define what does it mean. And for us as a families, right, this means to define human rights also from a gender lens, from a feminist lens. And I think this provides a huge potential. Yeah.
Thank you. So storytelling, communications, outreach to civil society, speaking with governments, and remembering that this is a long process. So we're about out of time. Serene, thank you so much. To everybody listening, we will be doing an AMA at RightsCon. So please check your schedule and join us for that, where you can ask Serene, ICNL, and other partners questions about how you too can make sure that internet is a human right and access to the internet is realized for all of your citizens in your countries. Thank you so much.
Thank you.